This is SkyTour News for May 20th. I'm Amanda Curran. Today, in 1978, the U.S. launches Pioneer Venus 1. The Pioneer Venus Orbiter, also known as the Pioneer Venus 1 or Pioneer 12, was a mission to Venus conducted by the U.S. as part of the Pioneer Venus project. Launched today in 1978 atop the Atlas Centaur rocket, the spacecraft was inserted into an elliptical orbit around Venus on December 4, 1978, and returned data on Venus until October of 1992. Manufactured by the Hughes Aircraft Company, the Pioneer Venus Orbiter was based on the HS-507 bus and was a flat cylinder, 8.2 feet in diameter and 3.9 feet long. All instruments and spacecraft subsystems were mounted on the forward end of the cylinder, except the magnetometer, which was at the end of a 15-foot boom. A solar array extended around the circumference of the cylinder. A 3-foot 7-inch D-spun dish antenna provided S and X band communications with Earth. A Star 24 solid rocket motor was integrated into the spacecraft to provide the thrust to enter orbit around Venus. Several experiments carried out in this mission included a surface radar mapper to determine typography and surface characteristics, a neutral mass spectrometer to determine the composition of the upper atmosphere, 2 radio science experiments to determine the gravity field of Venus, as well as 13 other experiments. The spacecraft conducted radar altimetry observations, allowing the first global typography map of the Venetian surface to be constructed. With the planned primary mission duration of only 8 months, the spacecraft remained in operation until October 8, 1992, when it finally burned up in Venus's atmosphere after running out of propellant. Today in 1990, Hubble Space Telescope sends its first photographs from space. Launched into low Earth orbit in April, the Hubble Space Telescope entered service today in 1990. Hubble's 4 main instruments observe in the near ultraviolet, visible, and near infrared spectra. Hubble's orbit outside the distortion of Earth's atmosphere allows it to take extremely high-resolution images with substantially lower background light than ground-based telescopes, the first of which were taken today in 1990. Many Hubble observations have led to breakthroughs in astrophysics, such as accurately determining the rate of expansion of the universe. Built by the United States Space Agency NASA, with contributions from the European Space Agency, the Space Telescope Science Institute selects Hubble's targets and processes the resulting data, while the Goddard Space Flight Center controls the spacecraft. When launched, the HST carried 5 scientific instruments: the Wide Field and Planetary Camera, Goddard High-Resolution Spectrograph, High-Speed Photometer, Faint Object Camera, and the Faint Object Spectrograph. Hubble's first images sent back on this date in 1990 weren't as sharp as they should be, and led to a NASA investigation where it was discovered that the telescope's 8-foot primary mirror had been ground too flat around the edges due to a miscalibrated measuring instrument. Though the slightly blurry images were still good enough for scientists to see space as never before and do groundbreaking research, the mirror's aberration meant Hubble could not be able to complete some of its mission until astronauts replaced the telescope Wide Field Planetary Camera with the Wide Field Planetary Camera 2 in 1993, which compensated for the mirror aberration. The Hubble Space Telescope is still in operation and is expected to last until the 2030s or 2040s. Today, 2018. The launch of China's Xichang relay satellite. Today, at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern, the Chang 4 relay satellite will launch from the Xichang Satellite Launch Center on a Long March 4C rocket and will enable communications between Earth and the Chang 4 lunar lander and rover, which will launch to the far side of the Moon later this year. Built as a backup for Chang 3, Chang 4 will be China's second lunar lander and rover. This mission will attempt to determine the age and composition of an unexplored region of the Moon, as well as develop technologies required for the latter stages of the program. Since Chang 4 is planned to land on the far side of the Moon, CNSA will first launch the Q-CHAO Communications Relay Satellite to Earth-Moon L2 point later today to relay the signals between the lander rover and the Earth station. The lander and rover will be launched 6 months later and will be the first ever landing on the lunar far side, the unexplored region of the Moon called South Pole Aitken Basin, a vast basin in the southern hemisphere of the far side which extends from the South Pole to Aitken Crater. The proposed landing site is the Von Karman Crater in the South Pole Aitken Basin on the far side of the Moon. The crater is thought to be the oldest impact feature on the Moon. Don't miss out on history in the making, today at 5 p.m. Eastern. This is SkyTour News. I'm Amanda Curry.